Hey folks, Mike Johnson here. If it's got wheels and an engine, you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive into car repairs, maintenance tips, and everything you need to keep your ride running smooth. If you're into cars and want to keep learning, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. All right, enough talking. Let's get into it.
Fault code P0460 is set when the vehicle computer detects a potential problem with the fuel level sensor circuit. What does this mean, and what causes this error? Read on to answer these questions and more. What does fault code P0460 mean? Fault code P0460 means fuel level sensor circuit error. The powertrain control module, PCM, stores this code when it detects that the fuel level sensor, FLS, input signal is not within the expected signal range. The PCM can also set this code if it determines that the fuel level sensor input signal is irrational. Note that the definition of code P0460 may differ depending on the vehicle manufacturer. Consult the appropriate repair manual or repair database for the exact code definition. A fuel level sensor is a device usually mounted on top of the fuel tank or fuel pump module and is used to monitor the fuel level. Inside a vehicle's fuel tank, the sensor is made up of three main components: the float, the resistor, and the actuating rod. The oval-shaped float rests on the fuel surface and moves as the fuel level inside the tank changes. A thin metal strip called the actuating rod connects the float to the resistor. As the float changes position, depending on fuel level, the actuating rod causes a wiper-type component in the resistor to move over a resistive material. This movement causes the current flowing to the gauge to change, thereby also altering the fuel reading. In some vehicles, input data from the fuel level sensor is routed to a combination meter, which in turn sends the data to the PCM via a data network. The PCM uses the input data from the fuel level sensor to determine the amount of fuel inside the fuel tank, and to monitor fuel consumption and fuel economy. FLS sensor failure is one of the possible causes of code P0460. What are the possible causes of P0460? There are several possible causes that can trigger diagnostic codes, such as P0460, some of which are listed below: a faulty fuel pump. The sensor is often integrated into the pump. FLS sensor failure, mechanical problems with the FLS sensor arm wiring problems such as open or shorted voltage ground in the FLS sensor signal circuit, faulty powertrain control module, RER. What are the common symptoms of code P0460? As a general rule, when a trouble code is stored, you may notice some indication that something is wrong. However, many trouble codes may have no visible signs except an active malfunction indicator. In the case of code P0460, some of the most common symptoms are listed below: a malfunction indicator lamp, MIL, or check engine light. On unreliable fuel gauge reading, reduced perceived fuel consumption. How to diagnose fault code P0460? Misdiagnosis is a very real possibility when trying to resolve a fault code, such as P0460. When diagnosing a fault code, one of the aims is to efficiently and accurately identify the root cause of the problem from a list of possible causes. It's important to have reliable sources of repair information, especially if you're trying to diagnose and or understand code P0460. Repair manuals and vehicle-specific databases are the best sources of information, as they contain detailed repair information and step-by-step troubleshooting procedures. They also have useful illustrations and diagrams to help you better understand the problem. An unreliable fuel gauge reading may indicate that your car's computer has recorded code P0460. How to repair the P0460 code? Fixing the P0460 code is difficult not only because there are many possible causes to rule out, but also because vehicles are built differently by manufacturer. In fact, terminology, components, repair and diagnostic procedures vary considerably. For example, there are two possible definitions of the P0460 code on a 2018 Ford F-350 Super Duty King Ranch. One is defined as P0460-11, fuel level sensor circuit error, a short to ground, while the other is defined as P0460-13, fuel level sensor circuit error, open circuit. Meanwhile, P0460 on a Mazda 3S 2012 is defined as P0460, a fuel level sensor circuit malfunction. The setting conditions and possible solutions for P0460 on Ford and Mazda vehicles also differ considerably. That's why it's very important to consult a repair manual, especially if you're doing the P0460 repairs and diagnostics yourself. However, if you're not sure of your troubleshooting skills, or don't know how to repair fault codes, you can ask a certified professional to do the work for you. Further notes on fault code P0460. P0460 can be caused by mechanical or electrical problems, and the severity of this code may depend on the type of problem that caused it in the first place. On the one hand, if the underlying problem is mechanical in nature, this code should be dealt with immediately and treated as serious. On the other hand, if the root cause is an electrical problem, this code may not be as serious because the PCM is able to compensate for the fault. However, this does not mean that repairs should not be carried out immediately. In both cases, the fault code should always be treated with a certain level of urgency. The codes associated with P0460 are as follows: P0461, fuel level sensor circuit range to output P0462, fuel level sensor circuit low. Input P0463, fuel level sensor circuit high. Input P0464, intermittent fuel level sensor circuit.